Hey, so a little share about the task of reaching that you're going to see on your function report on number 20. That's what they specifically ask for. Any effects that occur with regard to this multi-column list of tasks, sitting, standing, walking, etc. Reaching is one of them. I see people not check that box off a lot when I already know that they would have limits to reaching. Now, we want to be clear. The question is not, do your impairments prevent you from doing these things? It doesn't have to rise to that level of affecting you and your ability to do that task such that it makes you unable to do it at all. No, it's asking you if there is an effect on your ability to do it. So if you could previously reach all day long before you were impaired, when you were 20, and you can't do that now, there is a reason. It might not be the impairment that took you out of your current work. You hear those dogs? But it could still be affected. So what I tried, and I see this a lot with people who have obviously shoulder impairments, but if they also have a cervical spine impairment, they're thinking neck, upper part here, maybe upper part of the back, and they're limiting their thought process to that when they're going through this. But it is almost invariably so that if they go and then put themselves to task, no pun intended, by literally seeing how much they can reach, say they have to be reaching and doing something with their hands like this, stuffing envelopes an hour straight. Give it a shot. How's that going to be? Can you hold it? Is it going to do anything to that cervical spine impairment? The holding of the arms out in front is a lot. I think it's significantly more implicated in a lot of sedentary jobs or light jobs where you're standing and on your feet, but not necessarily running around, holding things, assembly, stuffing envelopes. It could be typing out in front of you. So when you're not thinking about reaching in that regard, you're thinking of, can I reach over and get my cup of coffee once? Therefore, it's not implicated. That's not figuring out whether it's implicated or not. And unless your doctor tells you this would be unsafe for you, I suggest, if you haven't thought about it, to give it a try. Do something, time yourself. At what point when you have your arms in front of you, do they get weak? Do you start getting pain up here, going down into maybe your shoulders? You'd be surprised how much our neck and our muscles over here implicate our ability to use our hands out in front of us. And the reason why I think it's important, when it comes to reaching, the SSA rules and the Dictionary of Occupational Titles tends to not really differentiate between different types of reaching, except perhaps for reaching overhead, because a lot of people know they can't reach overhead well when they have an impairment that affects reaching, but they do not think about what it's going to do to reaching in front of you. And I believe that far more jobs require that you be able to reach in front of you occasionally or frequently, which is 1/3 of a day for occasionally, 2/3 of a work day for frequently. So if you can gather evidence, and the first part is simply claiming it to be so, if it is true, bringing it to their attention in a function report. The reaching in front is so necessary for so many of those sedentary jobs, or even light jobs, or a mix of sedentary light jobs that you will otherwise potentially be held to be able to do, particularly in the assembly of small parts type of jobs, stuffing envelopes, maybe being an addresser. What is that? We don't even know anymore. But so give some thought to your reaching, and don't just assume you have no issues with it, because I would be very shocked. I think most people end up having issues with it because of, if nothing else, just degeneration as we get older. So you want to check that out. And if it is true, you might have, let's say you're not claiming an impairment with your cervical spine or your shoulders. Now you know that there is a limitation. You just didn't know about it because you never had to use those. So you didn't even realize that what you could have done at 20, you can't do anymore because you never actually have to try. So it is another way to make sure that you're answering those questions on that function report far more accurately than you otherwise would be, because leaving those things blank means no problem. 8-hour day, I got it. I can reach all day long and reach in front. And again, it would be something that comes up later to your benefit. And if you find that you can't do that, like you have, limits to your reaching in front of you in terms of duration for a day, maybe it's repetition you can't do. Yeah, maybe you can reach out in front of you, twice an hour, but can you do it a third of the time? Can you do it for 20 minutes out of every hour? That's considered very minimal in the SSA world, and it's a third of a day. It's quite a bit. So you want to find out. And then if you find that you do have issues with that, follow up with it with your doctor. Can you hear these dogs? Follow up with your doctor, and maybe you want to get the cervical spine checked out if that wasn't already a problem. If it was already a problem and you've already had MRIs, then you know where that's probably coming from. But if not, now you've got one other impairment that not the fact that your shoulders ache, you have to figure out why. So you have to go follow up, maybe get MRI up here of the shoulders, whatever it's going to be. Maybe you'll need physical therapy. The more you get, the more evidence there is that you are not 100% able to do that reaching in an 8-hour day. It's something less. So let's find out what it is so we can eliminate those jobs that do not allow for that light amount of reaching that you can possibly do, but requires more reaching. And you just carved out more jobs out of the ones that can pin you. Okay? Reaching, check it out before you answer your function report. All right. Bye now.